To the Deputy Labor Leader in the Senate, Kristina Keneally. Thank you for your time. It was a very blunt Governor of the RBA, wasn't it, about the need to sustain some fiscal support for the economy?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it, Kieran? Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers. Quite extraordinary evidence given by the RBA Governor Phillip Lowe today, and quite honest and forthright, I thought. Making clear that, the economy is not going to snap back in 6 months' time the way that the Prime Minister predicted that it would. The RBA Governor, his evidence made clear that we can't just see JobKeeper and JobSeeker come to a blunt end in September. That's just not going to be good for the economy. It's not going to be good for Australian families. He also made clear, as we heard last week from Treasury, that monetary policy really can't do much more in terms of the heavy lifting, such low interest rates, that fiscal policy is going to be so important as we come through this economic crisis and recovery. It's quite unfortunate that the government, having presided over the biggest accounting error in Australian history, a $60 billion bungle, is now going to have to navigate with the trust of the community to be able to take us through the next steps of this economic recovery. I mean, as Scott Morrison said, Kieran, if you can't manage money, you can't manage the country. There are 60 billion reasons now to wonder if Scott Morrison really can manage this economic recovery.
Well, but the thing is, as the government says, you'd rather, if there to be a revision, they're on the right side of the mark, aren't they, in that sense? As the Prime Minister said this week in an answer to my question at the press club, he said, well, we're on the right side of the mark. You'd rather that than a blowout.
Well, Kieran, I think that's a question that should be asked to the single mum with 3 kids who was in a casual job for less than 12 months and she's not getting JobKeeper. That's a question that should be asked to the university lecturer who, because they're on a casual contract, maybe with 1 or 2 employers, isn't able to get JobKeeper, but some uni student who had a shift or 2 a week is now getting more than what they earned before. I mean, JobKeeper is a great idea. A wage subsidy is an absolutely essential tool in this economic crisis, but it is a good idea being delivered by an incompetent government and being bungled quite badly. And so when you say, are we on the right side of this? Not to the million casuals who aren't getting the support they need, not to the teachers, the local council workers, the temporary visa holders, the people who've been left behind by this government who said they had to draw a line somewhere. They drew it at $130 billion. And now they've really got to they've got to take on board what the Reserve Bank governor said today, which is that, if they don't extend these programs, if we just have the sudden withdrawal of support, this economic crisis is going to have a longer tail and a deeper impact than it needs to.
The other reform that has been introduced, obviously Labor's been very critical of it, the superannuation access, but it's been very popular. It's helped a lot of people get through this very tough time, that access to their superannuation accounts. APRA today, though, warned the super matching mechanism where you go back to find your other super accounts, that had been targeted by fraudsters. How widespread is that concern?
Well, I'm deeply concerned about the evidence we heard today in the Senate COVID hearings, Kieran. You're right. We are concerned about the early access super scheme. It has a self-verification process, which I would say is no verification. It seems almost nobody has been denied early access to super, so whether or not they're even complying with the eligibility provisions remains to be seen. We also heard today that, as you say, the super match system has been suspended because it was a way that people could fraudulently get in and create new accounts, match them to accounts that already had money in them, and then fraudulently obtain funds. Now, this is different to the fraud that the Senate COVID committee heard about a few weeks ago, where we heard about 150 accounts that had been fraudulently accessed. What was concerning today, Kieran, APRA couldn't tell us any details in terms of whether or not money had been paid out, how many accounts were at risk. And I think it shows the importance of having the oversight body that we do in this Senate COVID committee, with government Labor and the crossbench being able to bring these concerns forward. Can I just say this too, Kieran? You say it's a popular scheme. It has been quite well subscribed, but I would say it's more been a necessary scheme than popular. I don't think people are overjoyed about taking money out of their retirement. They've been forced to do that because JobKeeper took so long to be delivered by the government. And there was so much uncertainty about the program.
Demand has been there, though. Yeah, the point is, I guess, the demand has been there. The other thing,
out of necessity.
Yeah, well, indeed. But you got the National Cabinet. I know Labor again. It's the opposition's role, I guess, to some extent. But the National Cabinet involving Labor leaders around the nation has been successful in charting one of the best medical and health responses in the world, and now Andrew Clennell reports today that tomorrow's National Cabinet is going to basically start the process to replace COAG. As a former Premier, do you think that's a good move?
Well, we've always said that National Cabinet was really nothing more than COAG. I mean, I've yet to see what the fundamental difference is. In fact, I would say as a former Premier who's participated in COAG is a more binding body. When you finish a COAG meeting, you sign on to an agreement. You sign on to a national partnership agreement. You issue a joint communique. National Cabinet has been, a COAG hookup. It's been useful to keeping the states and the Commonwealth at least having conversation and guiding state decisions. But the states have still taken largely their own decisions, and that there's nothing wrong with that, Kieran. I just think the idea that National Cabinet is some kind of fundamental historic federation reform of the type that Greg Hunt described is a little bit overblown. I got to say, if the Commonwealth and the states want to demonstrate the importance of these bodies, whether you call them COAG, whether you call them National Cabinet, they could get on moving on just one, Kieran, just one. There's a public dental agreement, a national partnership on public dental services. It's due to expire in 5 weeks. No progress has been made. There's 180,000 Australians who are already doing it tough through this health crisis, this economic crisis, who are now poised to lose access to public dental health services. That's the kind of real world impact that a body like a COAG or a National Cabinet can have. The Commonwealth just needs to get on and sort things like that out rather than coming up with, whatever the newest marketing slogan is for the newest version of COAG phone hookups that the Prime Minister is creating.
Senator Keneally, I appreciate your time. As always, talk to you soon.